Hello guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about circles. So last year you talked about circles, some basic ideas that, for example, if you have a point in the middle, that O happens to be the center. So I would name this circle O because it had O in the center. If I were to look at this right here from O to A, that would be a radius because it goes from the center to a point on the circle. Diameter goes all the way across through the center, so that would be a diameter. BC is a chord. That means it's just this little line segment that goes from one point on the circle to another. A chord can go through the center. It does not have to, though. So a lot of that vocabulary you've talked about before, but we're going to spend some time today talking about this idea of arcs of a circle. And so if I talk about an arc of a circle, it is basically a piece of the circle. So if you can imagine the circle itself made out of like a coat hanger, piece of metal. It is a piece of metal that goes in that circle, just the outline. And when I talk about a minor arc, this would be the idea of the minor arc. Minor arc is an arc that goes less than half the circle. So it's less than a semicircle, less than halfway. If I want to talk about a major arc would be the one that goes around the rest of the circle. It is more than 360 degrees. So we have major and we have minor arcs that happen when we have a circle. So if I take a look at the circle I have here, I can see right now that this right here would be my center. And from that center, you have what's called a central angle. So it's an angle that's made with two radiuses that come from the center. And again, this part up here would be less than halfway. That's the minor arc. This would be the major arc. So that's kind of the way that it works as far as identifying them. We do have some things that have to do with angles that we need to look at. So let me give you some examples. So first of all, if I look at this, you can tell that the center is O. I can see there's an angle that's made there, and so 70 is a central angle. And when I go to actually talk about this arc right there, so first of all, when I write that, that would be Y and Z are the letters on the end of it. Arc is like when you do a little bit of a line over it. If I want to talk about the measure of that arc, it has to match the central angle. So that means this would be 70 degrees. So that means out here, that arc would have an angle measurement of 70 degrees. Now, take a look at this one. So I have another O that's in the center. And I have this angle right here that is a central angle, and I have 45 degrees that is there. And we said that is going to be the central angle because it comes from that center point of O. So if I want to know the measure of the arc from P to Q, so from right here, it's going to match that central angle of 45 degrees. Okay, now sometimes we have angles that look like this. It's still inscribed, it's still inside the circle, but you can definitely tell that it's from a point on the circle and it's not from the center point, which would be somewhere here. So when I do this angle, if I want to talk about the measure of this minor arc or that arc that's there, so the measure of the arc BC, whatever this measurement is, I have to double it to get here. So if I multiply that by 2, then that means out here that's going to be 90 degrees. So that's kind of how these are set up so that you can be able to kind of go through and solve them. So let's just take a look at a couple more. So both of these, they just want us to be able to find x. So in this one, the circle has this x angle that's over here. It is not through the center. So that means whatever x was, I would have had to multiply it by 2 to get to 90. So that means x must have been 45 degrees. Because if I had 45 times 2 would be 90, Or if you want to work backwards, you can do 90 divided by 2 gives you 45. So either way works. Okay, so on this one, they give you the angle measurement is 37. To get out here, though, I'm going to have to go through and multiply it by 2. So that means it's going to be 74 degrees. Okay, we'll keep talking about these next.